We're ready to go?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. On Saturday, Ottawa's CFL team will finally have a name, a logo, and a brand. Talk about getting to this point.
This might have been the most difficult parts of this whole process. I had no idea how passionate fans would be and how evolved fan opinion would be. And I guess it's not surprising when you have a team that has a 100-year history of being called Rough Riders. Any other name is going to sound foreign. And as you know, we got an enormous and unprecedented amount of input, thousands and thousands of names suggested, literally. And one of the things that scared me right off the bat was that no one name garnered more than 1% of the popular vote. So there was no clear consensus, and people had a lot of emotion associated with it. If they thought it should be something that speaks to the past or something that's completely modern, or the feelings are strong, and so it's great to see the passion, and it'll be nice to finally have a name and begin the process of getting the community to embrace it, I hope.
Because you had such a strong reaction, so many people entered names, is there the risk of people saying, well, my name was the best name, and then they chose this?
There's no risk of that. That's exactly what's happening. That's I think people, and you got to remember, we were 5 years plus from the time we got an expansion franchise to the time we started construction. So what else could fans talk about in those 5 years? We didn't have a team, we got no players, didn't have a GM till recently. The only thing that fans could talk about, whether it's over a beer or around the water cooler, was the name. And I think people came up with names and got really personally invested. So it's not just that the name we choose isn't Rough Riders, it isn't the name that Tim Baines picked either.
Take me through the feelings and frustration and angst to what you're feeling now with the team finally about to gain an identity.
I'm excited, and it'll be a big relief to get the name and the brand finally out in the market, have it for certain, and let people start to get used to it. And we know that we're not going to get universal admiration right off the bat, and we're going to have a process to win some people over. But we're prepared for that, and we know that that's a challenge that we face. I hope that in time it will become a less of an important thing for fans, and they'll be more concerned about the play on the field or the experience of going to Lansdowne, and people will get used to the name.
Some fans are still clamoring, and I'm sure you still get emails for the team to be called the Rough Riders. Take our readers through why this cannot happen.
Yeah, it's simply not an option. When we went for an expansion franchise all those years ago, Saskatchewan voted enthusiastically in favor of Ottawa coming back to the league. That was never an issue. But they felt that they had an exclusive use of the Rough Rider name for a long period of time. And not only that, but we all know how the Saskatchewan Rough Riders have really become, you know, the envy of the league, and there's so much equity in that Rough Rider name in Saskatchewan. They didn't want to share it, and so they were totally in favor of Ottawa coming back, but the only condition they put on their vote was that we could not use the Rough Rider name, and we agreed at the time and maybe hoped we could talk them out of it later, but that wasn't to be, and they've stuck to their guns. And you know what, I know the league was always maligned, a 9-team league with 2 teams with the same name. I think for today's generation, sure, the older fan that remembers the glory days would love to have the Rough Rider name, but the fans that are going to, make our team successful long term or have no recollection of Rough Riders, or if they have any, it's probably not positive. And so I think a new name and a fresh start is probably not a bad thing.
In a sense, it probably took some pressure off the ownership group if there were any misgivings or thoughts about naming it something different. Having that completely taken out of the picture might have been a blessing in disguise.
Well, yeah, when you have the choice taken from you, it kind of makes your alternatives a little more clear. And So, we realized fairly early on into it that we were going to have to hit the field with a new, unique name that has never existed before, and that's tough. But I think we've gotten to a good place. I think we've got a name that is truly unique and distinctive to Ottawa, that speaks to our heritage, and I think the name's got a good story.
When you announce the name, really there will be negativity, no matter what the name is. How do you negate the negativity?
I think there's a couple of answers to that question. Number one, I hope people focus on Ottawa. Ottawa's in the name. And we've got a CFL team back finally, and a brand new stadium that'll be the envy of the CFL. And I think that we're going to completely reshape the way people think about CFL football in Ottawa. And I think there's nothing that beats the experience. I think you're not going to not go to a game or go to a game because of the name of a team. You're going to go because, obviously you have an interest in live sporting events, and people are going to want to come out and see the brand new, beautiful facility that we're going to be playing in. And I think they come out and they see a good product on the field, and they have a great experience sitting in the stands at all levels, and I think that's what ultimately will win people over.
The Ottawa Sun has been reporting since January the team will be called the Red Blacks. Confirm or deny?
Well, that's what today is all about, and the Ottawa Sun have been thorough, and no matter what names have been reported, we're talking about football.
We recently published Red Blacks logos that were registered with the Canadian Intellectual Property Office. Did you happen to like the logos by any chance?
Yeah, they were pretty cool. That's the world we live in now. There's just so much out there. There's so much access. And it's really created a healthy debate and again, a lot of interest in our team coming back. And when we can get people talking about CFL football when the Ottawa Senators in the playoffs, they're not now, of course, but even when they were, I think that's good.
You're bringing in a few of Ottawa's football legends for the launch Saturday. Who are some of the players we can expect to see, and what does that mean to you to have the support of really pillars of the Ottawa football community?
I think Ottawa's got a glorious football history. People forget that. And to bring Russ Jackson and Tony Gabriel and all the great alumni that still reside in Ottawa and are part of our community, and to get them not only out and part of a launch event, but embracing the return of CFL football and the name, and they're gonna be on stage with hundreds of young kids playing football. So you really got both ends of the spectrum. And I think when fans see guys like Russ Jackson, hopefully speaking positively about our new name and wearing a jersey or a hat and saying, hey, maybe if Russ Jackson can like it, then maybe I can.
You've got Commissioner Mark Cohan. Cohan is going to be here for the launch as well. What has Commissioner Cohan and the CFL been like through this whole elongated process?
Well, I think Mark sees the return of CFL football as part of his legacy that he's building every day. Mark was in the job, I would say, no more than 3 months, and he called me. And it wasn't that call that directly contributed to the evolution of where we are today, but it was a start. And I think he's had his eye on that was a key mandate of his coming into the job. And I think he takes great personal pride in the return of CFL football to Ottawa, and so he should. He's really been the guiding force for us, and Mark, on behalf of the CFL, have been tremendous partners and tremendously patient as we've gone through this process. So I think it'll be a proud day for him and the league.
It had to be extremely tough for the CFL, given the bumps we've had in the road in the past with the CFL in Ottawa, and seeing what you guys were going through with the protests and with court cases, and it had to be extremely tough for ownership group and for the CFL.
Well, I know I've said this many, many times in the process. I can never see this ever happening, and I can't see it not happening. And, we rode that sort of roller coaster of emotion for a long time, and there were bleak days, and there were days for celebration, and everything in between. And and again, the CFL rode that wave with us, and I'm glad we persevered, and I'm thrilled with the outcome.
Does the ownership group try to bury some of the painful memories, or do you embrace the whole past, or the past as a whole?
With respect to the team on the field,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, we got 100 years of history, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I mean, everybody knows the team left, and we can't hide from that. And those were the low moments, and I lived through them as a fan, and I felt like the city's self-esteem and pride took a hit when the team left, and it was just not quite as much fun to live in Ottawa when CFL football left, and everybody remembers that, but they also remember all the great nights and all the great memories and the successes, and I think we need to celebrate our past, warts and all.
What went wrong, and how will you change things? Why will fans buy into this version of the CFL in Ottawa when the team has died a couple of times, at least partially because of fan apathy?
Yeah, I get that question a lot, and people ask me what's going to be different. My answer is everything's going to be different, literally. I mean, a huge component of that is going to be the stadium. And everybody remembers I didn't miss a game, and I remember the bench seating and the inadequate washrooms and lineups for everything, and the not-so-cold beer and the not-so-hot hot dog, and the not-so-great sound system and the non-existent video board. I mean, it goes on and on and on. It was not a pleasant experience. In fact, I think that's a credit to Ottawa's resolve as football fans, that despite losing teams on the field and a terrible experience, you still saw 20,000 people a game coming out. I mean, football fans in Ottawa are a hardy group, and but to have the success that you need today in sports, you need to have everything needs to be world class. Every element of a fan experience has to be great. And again, we have a high standard with Scotiabank and what the Senators have done, and that's what people expect when they come to a sporting event. And Lansdowne was a long ways off. I really hope too, naturally, that we're going to see a very different type of team. That's not to say we're going to come out in the first year and win the Grey Cup, but I think we're going to see a team that competes every game and develops. And those are the only two things I can ask of Marcel and his team. And I think fans will be reasonably patient if they see those two things occur.
I'm guessing we won't see any Mardi Gras or any beads.
No, we've taken that out of our playbook. Mardi Gras night, you can be sure, will not exist, but. And you hit on a good point, though, and I think it speaks to some of the past and what was done. Ottawa, we need to be relevant to all aspects of the demographic, but in particular, we need to get moms and kids out to football games, and it has to be an experience that a family would go to and not feel uncomfortable. On the contrary, if I do my job right, mom and dad will bring their two kids, and the two kids will be bugging to go to the next game. And that's the type of atmosphere we're trying to create. That's not to say that a group of guys can't have their fun too, and in their own way, but we have to be relevant to everybody.
The Quebec market, the French-speaking market, is important to you, and maybe something that's been pushed aside and ignored in the past. What is the team doing to really address that and bring in some of the French-speaking people?
Well, I think that it starts today with a francophone name, and I think that's the first symbolic gesture. I think that fans, francophone fans, will look for. I think we need to be part of the community. I don't think we could just run ads in Lodois and expect that that's going to win the hearts and minds of people in Gatineau or even francophone Ontarians. I think we need to be out in the schools. We need to be out in the community. Promoting football and running camps and meeting the fans on their turf, and then when we go through all that effort to get a fan from Gatineau or like I say, a francophone fan from Ontario to come to the stadium, they have to feel comfortable. They have to feel included. They have to enjoy a francophone experience. I don't want people to feel like they're coming from Gatineau to go watch an Ottawa team play. I want people from Gatineau to feel like they're going to go watch their team play.
You were a regular at CFL games in Ottawa. What are any vivid CFL memories, things that stand out in your mind of games that you've seen?
You know, no one game stands out of my mind. Really, what stands out is how much I look forward to every couple of weeks. So, and you know, mostly I remember fondly the summer night games, and I was something I did with my father, who's passed away. So I have, you know, very emotional memories in that regard. But my brother, and we always brought along a friend. We had 4 season tickets on the south side, and it just the whole outing, you know, and going to the game, and so no great moment. I don't even know that I was witness to an exceptional moment. There was no Tony Gabriel catches when I went to Rough Rider games, but still enjoyed it equally.
Now, you've been established for a long time in Ottawa Sports Mosaic as the owner of the city's junior hockey team. What's it been like? What's the experience been like to be the front man for a CFL team?
Well, it's been fun, and you know, there's no question that as much as the 67s, I think, are very well thought of in the community, and have a great profile, and we get great attention from all aspects of the community. But CFL football is more dominant. It's bigger in people's minds. And it's fun to be associated with something exciting coming back to town. The 67s have been here for almost 50 years, so while every year you hope you have an exciting new team, it's a constant in the community. What I have the pleasure of interacting with fans every day and talking with excitement and enthusiasm about not just the team coming back, but about the new Lansdowne and what that whole experience is going to be, not just in the stadium, but all around. I think people will come earlier and stay longer.
Give us an update. Speaking of Lansdowne, give us an update on the construction. I'm sure you've had people giving you regular updates, and I'm sure you've had occasion to drive past.
Well, my partners don't like me talking much about construction because I don't know anything about it, but from what I'm told, we're on pace, and that you know we're going to be good to go for 2014. And every day I hear that, then that's a good day.
Any Grey Cup guarantees? A game being played here? Is that being talked about with the CFL?
Well, what's in our minds, and we just got to get the CFL to hopefully feel the same way, is 2017 is Canada's 150th birthday. There's already thoughts of perhaps the Outdoor Classic being in Ottawa that year, and certainly it's interesting to me the possibility of, because as you know, to host the Grey Cup, we're going to have to add additional temporary seating. Wouldn't it be nice if we could build in that seating and keep it up for the Outdoor Classic? So that's our goal, and until we're told that that's not going to work, that's the best case scenario for me and the city, I think.
When will fans actually be able to purchase season tickets? You've got a PRN thing going on right now where people can plunk down a deposit, so I guess we'll start with that.
Yeah, and people every day, we continue to get new priority registration numbers, as we call them. And after today's launch, we're really going to go out in the market and start really promoting it. We haven't really been promoting it publicly. And we're hoping to have our preview center finished early September. And that's when it'll get real exciting for fans, because they'll be able to go into a beautiful preview center and look at a 360 view of what their seats would look, you know, what type of viewing they would have from any particular seat. They can literally go and virtually put themselves in any seat in the building, and you can see, like I say, a full panoramic view of what you would see once the stadium is built. So that's going to be something I'm very excited about.
Where will the preview center be?
Shopper City East.
And do we have a cost on season tickets? Has that been determined?
No, that's something we're working on. Certainly, I can say philosophically, you know, we're going to be in line with other CFL markets for sure. And it's particularly important to all my partners and I that that CFL football be accessible for all walks of life in Ottawa, and especially families where we intend to make a special focus.
Now, recently in the news, City Council is contemplating spending between $10 and $30 million on Ottawa Stadium, a baseball stadium that could be used, I guess, for concerts. Is there room in Ottawa for 2 outdoor stadiums, really, that host sports teams and can put concerts on? In your mind, is that a good expenditure?
Well, I think if you can get a baseball tenant that can be here for the long term and can have success, then yeah, I mean, there's lots of cities that have, football stadiums, soccer stadiums, and baseball stadiums, because you really can't marry the two, or at least it's very difficult. Rogers Centre, they do it, but it's not ideal. And I think if the community wants to have baseball, which would be great to see a successful baseball team here, then I guess it works.
I'm sure over this whole process there have been moments that have really seemed surreal, and yet I'm thinking the launch will be one of those real moments where give me some of those moments over the whole process from getting the team up to now, where you've had time to sit back and say, wow, this is really happening.
Well, it's interesting because every time we had a success along the way, you woke up the next day with this realization of everything you got to do now, and so you don't get too many of those moments to just smell the roses. But I think today will be one of those moments where, you've got fans. This is what it's all about, and this is what's going to make or break us is the people coming to the launch event and really a chance to interact with real fans that are really passionate and really enthusiastic. Because you get that feeling of, this is what it's all about. And again, to bring in the alumni and see their excitement and see the interaction with fans and the young kids that'll be there. That's what this is all about. It's always been what it's about. And I think that'll be one of those moments where hopefully I will smell the roses and say, yeah, this is good.
The Red Blacks, or whatever you've chosen to name the team, as we've said, the Ottawa Sun's been reporting for months and months, the Red Blacks, but the actual apparel, shirts, people are going to want to rush out there. They're going to want to buy shirts and logoed hoodies, whatever. When are these going to go on sale?
Well, we're going to have it available at the launch event to start with, and then if not right away, very soon it'll be available online, and we through our website, and hopefully not too far into the distant future we'll see it in local stores.
I guess we've got CFL training camps underway. We're a month or so away from the beginning of the CFL season. This time next year, it's got to be really exciting. Thinking ahead, this time next year, we're finally there.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be really exciting to watch games and look at teams and start to figure out, what players might be available to us. Even Ricky Ray, who recently got an extension in Hamilton. So, immediately, Toronto, sorry. You start to think, okay, who are they going to free up? What does that mean to us? So things that are happening in the CFL now are going to really form what will happen to us a year or come the end of the season at the expansion draft. So again, it's one of those moments where it is real.
That's I think we've run the gamut with questions. That's it, and we just look forward to seeing a logo and a name and a brand, and we will no longer be Ottawa's CFL team. We'll actually have a name.
Finally, can't wait.